Okay, Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to our interview for Mochen Leilera online smicha. This rabbi is one of my favorites because every time we have him on, the internet goes berserk. And the reason it goes berserk is because what he says is point blank. You could be studying mashgiach, pasak, bishul, basabachol, taruvis, and hands-on, you don't know what's going on. I don't mean you. Now we have the person. I'm not going to give you his portfolio, but the fact is, what he's seen firsthand as his job, going to certify different places. First of all, it's a tremendous achrayus, and thank to his yiras shamayim and his honesty, a lot of people are really eating kosher food, a high standard. The name is Rabbi Rabbi Nathanson. If he wants to share what his title is, it's fine. If maybe it's private, but I want to because we are not actually right now. It's Motzei Shabbos, this Rosh Chodesh Av, and I don't know. You have little kids also, or not anymore little.
Little in the 20s.
Yeah. So the kids on Shabbos they have a. Something that they should. A lot of kids should have some excitement that they shouldn't, and that is when they're eating the cholent already. They have a FF something a fear from fleishik. They want to make sure that Motzei Shabbos they're still not fleishik because they can eat the pizza and the ice cream.
Right.
So we are entering the 9 days now, and 9 days is a time. I want to every time I interview Rabbi Nathanson, I try to focus on one thing. Last time we actually focused on fish, which is also hashgacha pratis for the 9 days. But another primary food item that's specifically good for the 9 days and in the summer particularly is milchiks. Ice cream. I just made a shir a couple of weeks ago about making ice cream, carving ice cream, the bracha of ice cream on Shabbos, all these things. But I'm not talking about the halachic part of the Shabbos and the bracha. I want to talk about there's so many foods. I mean, I'm old school. There's so many foods that I hear so much controversy about. So I want you to first tell us what the controversy is and see how we get about it. There's smoothies. There are what are the other things?
Ices,
sorbets, and all these
Slurpees.
things. Slurpees. Oh, that's a big one. Could you first tell us the controversy? Because I'm talking about a guy like me who doesn't know how it's made. Just goes into the store and buy it. So how is it made? What type of controversies are there involved? And what should a consumer who's looking to buy this? What are the first things that he has to make sure for a high standard kashrus?
Okay, so Slurpees, how it's made, can't really tell you.
You can't really tell me because it's illegal, or you can't because you don't know?
No, because we signed confidential agreements as to what happens. So that we can't discuss how it's made.
Slurpees are ice with coloring, ice with
It's a soda base, a soda pop base.
Okay.
That you do stuff to it. So
you're opening up another can of worms.
Yeah.
Does soda need a hechsher? The common thing.
Definitely.
Also, you go to Pepsi doesn't have a hechsher on it.
Yeah, it does.
On the bottle?
Oh, on the bottle depends on the local bottler. So in New York they have, other regions they don't, but it has hashgacha. So
I wish you would have a bottle of soda. I would see. The standard.
Take a can of Coca-Cola, and if you look on the lid, there's an OU embossed on the can.
And 7-Up and the standard.
7-Up, probably not.
Why not? So why?
It's a matter. It depends on the bottler, but the bottler just adds sugar, water, and gas.
Okay, so I'm sorry I cut you. You started saying the Slurpee. A standard bottle of a can of Coke, a can of soda, you shouldn't drink without a hechsher on it. Is that?
It should be on a reliable list for the country that you're in.
Okay, so we live in America.
We live in America. So the easiest list to get to is from Chicago Rabbinical Council.
Yeah.
crcweb.org, and they have a very good list there.
Okay, so what's about the guy who's very thirsty, who's not checking lists? And what is it?
So the major brands, the national brands, virtually everything is kosher. It's difficult to come up with something that isn't.
And the grape band?
Yeah, there's no grape in the grape. It's a grape flavor.
Grape flavor. What's the grape flavor made from?
Chemicals.
And that's nothing to do. It's not real grape. It's not shilas of yayin nesach or anything.
No.
Okay, so let's go back. So the Slurpees are made from soda based and ice.
So
Okay.
Slurpee is a brand name that's owned by 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
They contract to have those made for them. I don't know if they're all made by Coca-Cola or some aren't. I'm not sure. I mean, the ones that I go to, I know about.
Yeah.
So if it's on a reliable list, that'll tell you. It's kosher. It's parav. It's not parav.
Well, there are some Slurpees that are not that are milchig.
There are a couple that are milchig. The milchig part of it is incredibly buttle in it, but you can't call it parav.
Right.
But it's no way for it to affect the parav status of the machine. It doesn't sit there 24 hours.
Right.
And there's not enough milchigs in it.
So you're not calling it milchig. You're just saying
it's there. When you look at the list, it'll say it's dairy.
But so there's two problems with this thing.
Right.
Number one, if somebody eats it, he has to. You're saying there's no worry about waiting, or for those who wait between milchigs and fleischigs, or should he not take it right after supper fleisch?
Right. So you shouldn't have it right after the fleischigs.
And the second
But
issue,
there's no. But it's not an allergen. That much I can say. The dairy part of it is not an allergen. No, it's just when you break milk down into its different parts, not every part is a protein to have an allergen.
are you? And for those who are extremely makpid in chol vacuum, would they be considered?
You makbid on chol vacuum is also right.
Right. So for,
The chol
yeah, but some the heter that the
So
fact
chol stam or
Chol stam, okay.
or companies, right? So they shouldn't have it. And the most popular flavor that's dairy, that everyone presumes isn't, is the pina colada Slurpee.
So you're saying pina colada Slurpee, slow down.
Right.
If you're makpid in chol vacuum, you for sure shouldn't drink
Right.
it. And even if you're not, it's a question if it's milchig or whatever.
Right? How milky is it? It's
Okay.
it's an arichas, but it's
But all other, you're saying most of the other Slurpees?
almost everybody is part of it. There were some more dairy ones in the past. They used a dairy sweetener. They're based on a dairy sweetener, but I haven't seen those in years.
Okay, one second. When you say almost all of them, and you also started off saying that it's a 7-Eleven brand. I know you could go
Right.
into many gas stations.
Slurpee is a 7-Eleven brand.
So the Slurpees that are sold in gas stations.
Right, so those are technically not Slurpees, and they shouldn't be labeled as Slurpees. 'Cause
So what are they called?
Icy is another company that produces stuff.
Yeah.
So the icy flavors are all they're on lists to say which are part of, which are not. So the official answer from the mashgiachas is that when you go in, you should ask the person behind the counter to either show you, or they should give them your phone, take a picture of the label on the box attached to the machine so you know what it is.
And the labels usually have a hechsher on them?
No, but you can match the label name to one of the lists.
So that's good enough, just matching the label.
Yeah.
So wow, you just said that things could be kosher and certified kosher, but they will not have
a sample, right.
And why would that happen?
That was
It's bad business, you say?
Yeah, it's bad for business, but
So-
that's where those work.
So let me summarize this if that's correct. If there is a list for the 7-Eleven Slurpees.
Right. So OU has a list of Slurpees, right?
7-Eleven. Okay. Slurpee.
Slurpee, and they have an icy list. Just the reason I said CRC instead of OU is that they cover a lot broader range of products.
Okay. Now, and then IC's on the different list, or is the same?
Icy's you can find on OU website listed underneath the Slurpees. It's
So are there any other companies but Slurpee and IC?
those are the two main ones. They're Quick Mart, I think, is a gas station back east.
Yeah.
So they slap their own label on stuff.
And what's the Kashrus standard?
But you can see the label. You can see, like, they'll put Quick on, but like if it says Coca-Cola, it's Coca-Cola.
So are you saying whenever in doubt, better without about everything, unless you check the list? So what happens if your kids are screaming? You want to give them calm down? I'm saying that's
So okay, so if you're at a 7.
What are the sure good ones?
It's okay. So if you're at a 7-Eleven,
Yeah. You live in California. There's 7-Elevens.
right? Every
Other places
like Starbucks, right?
yeah. Other places are 7-Eleven is not that common.
Okay.
So if
Right?
yeah. So if it's a 7-Eleven, which are the good ones? I mean,
So Coke is okay. Cherry, blue raspberry. You see orange.
And what are all those colorings made from? Coloring is a big issue.
Right. So the colorings in terms of hashgacha or health?
Hashgacha. I'm not here for the health department.
Okay.
I'm here for the hashgacha.
So
they say it's made from bug juice. Is that right?
No.
Coloring, food coloring.
That's carmine or continental extract. The OU doesn't allow that.
For anything?
For anything. Most of the hashgachas in America don't allow it.
And the ones who do are relying on Nation Time Lubgam. What are they relying on?
I don't know. They're long truvas. I think the Satmar Rebbe, wrote a truva on it. Some others wrote truvas on it.
Okay, so we got to
the discussion actually came up in the OU at a conference, and
whether
how usher is usher, and the person speaking, who's clearly outranks me by a lot, he said, "Emes, I believe that it's kosher."
Because of Nation Time Lubgam?
No, he said just straight out, just the way that it's done. I don't think this is really an issue. However, we'll never allow it. Why? He said because something that every balabust in America knows is treif.
Yeah.
We don't have to give a hexer.
It's visible, and you could, if you know this is coming from Israel.
Right. So is it just kashrus? Is it just color? Is it? It's a discussion, and so they don't allow it.
All right. So that we got to the Slurpees. Now, next, a similar thing would be sorbets, isis,
right.
slush. What are other things? Not Slurpees. What are the other things that people? I told this to you in shul. He said, "Oh, this is a big." The other, not Slurpees. Smoothies.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so smoothies are.
We're aging ourselves, right? When we speak about, we don't
right.
know. Yeah. How is smoothies made, and what's the problem with the smoothies?
So most of the smoothies that people call about are fruit-based. So they take frozen fruit, throw it in a...
do I hear tailoim?
Right, and they throw it in and blend it up.
Okay, what is that? What could be wrong with that?
So blackberries, raspberries, certain parts of the country have bigger problems than the strawberries.
For what? For tailoim,
right.
So you're telling me the whole issue of what are we calling this?
Smoothies.
Smoothies are only, the issue is only about the tailoim, is that right?
Thus far, right.
Okay. So
you can always make it worse, right?
And the kalim they use?
So they're cold.
Yeah.
And so if you're starting off with clean, cold kalim, and you see all the fruit that's going in. So if you're making it at home, you should at least, you should rinse whatever.
Rinse what? The frozen?
The fruit, right?
Yeah. Now, one thing, you rinse the fruit if you bought frozen fruit?
Right.
Now, the frozen fruit, you're saying if somebody buys frozen fruit without an hechsher.
Right, like a raspberry, blackberry mix.
So you're allowing that, because even though raspberries are infested.
So they're infested certain times of the year. There's
you'll never know when you buy something from a store when it was made.
So one of the hashgachas has a lot of frozen fruit from the southern part of Canada.
Yeah.
And they said, we've gone through this for years. There's a certain season, there are no bugs. So straight out, there's fruit and there's no bugs. And they wanted to label it as kosher because, why not? And so they went to this group of Kashrus agencies where they get together and talk policy and this and that. We want to do this. And they were strongly encouraged not to, said because the consumer will never get it straight.
That makes sense.
Right.
It's even though it's seasonal, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's say somebody did.
Somebody did this. I'm not saying you should use blackberries, you shouldn't use blackberries, you should use raspberries, shouldn't.
Because there's a big difference in price between, I don't want to name companies, the frozen fruits that are non-hechsher, or the ones that claim they washed it up, is triple the price.
Right.
So if you're saying somebody buys a bag of frozen strawberries,
right. So
you said blackberries.
I said blackberries, right.
Wow.
So people are buying it, right? So if they're going to puree it, so It's based on a specs faker, so you have a doubt whether or not there's a bug in there in the first place.
Hold on, but not if it's a me or the matzah. Not
Right, but again, it depends when it was picked.
Okay.
When it was harvested and where it came from.
Okay.
And if they bought it, so they're already presuming that they're in safe territory for whatever reason.
That's not
correct, not correct, whatever.
Okay.
But once you're pureeing it, so you have a.
Where's the specs faker?
So the one is, do you have a bug there or not?
Yeah. Number two.
Once you puree it, it's not a whole barrier. You've beaten it up. Then it could be bottled.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's the theory.
Okay.
Right.
So it's definitely easier to make a smoothie with oranges and pineapples.
Orange, pineapple,
bananas,
whatever.
What else? Mango.
But a mango.
So where's this is the green light?
Right.
Where's the yellow light and where's the red light?
Okay, yellow light is, people have different views on strawberries.
Yeah.
And then the other light is for those that,
where's blueberries fit in?
Blueberries are kind of funny because you read all over about, it's infested, you have to look in the crown, this and that. I'm going to get beat up for this. I haven't seen it. I go to blueberry plants. We've looked, we just haven't found them. Could be because of what happens, on the West Coast is different.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sent to a cherry packer, and my instructions were to stand there for an incredibly long time, cutting open cherries and looking for bugs.
Yeah.
So after like an hour and a half, the plant manager comes over and says, "Listen,
enough is enough.
We don't care that you're doing this, because we have other broken fruit and it goes in this can and stuff. We don't care. What are you doing?" So I told him, and he said, "That's a Michigan problem. We don't have that problem in Oregon."
Okay, now you're blaming.
Now that I'm drenched in cherries, but.
All right. So, and where's the red? The red would be raspberries.
So blackberries, people kind of freak out with good reason because you can't see the bugs in there.
Because of the color.
The color, it's a dark berry and a dark bug.
Blueberry.
Blueberry would just up in the crown, so you stand a fighting chance. The top of it where it opens. And people do what people do,
Okay, now the common the discussion what people say is fresh fruit is worse than frozen fruit. Is that you ever heard of that?
I've heard it.
Once it's frozen, if there would have been bugs, it would have fallen off. Something. That theory.
No, not really.
So you don't buy that?
It's not totally. I mean, the places like the strawberry. OU certifies lots of strawberries.
Yeah, frozen strawberries.
Frozen strawberry. How do you do it? They have to have a certain cleaning procedure in place that actually does something. It's not just, there has to be a certain scrubbing and rinsing and water changes and whatnot.
So do you not encourage, obviously you're OU, for somebody to buy a non-certified frozen bag of strawberries? Are you losing out? Is somebody losing out by doing that?
They're taking a bigger chance.
Because it wasn't stempled that for sure there's a bug.
Because you don't know what that washing procedure was at that plant. So if they just did a water wash and it went through. So OU feels that's not adequate.
But there are others that say it's fine. Or you
see hashgacha? Yeah, some hashgachas actually they show up one day a year and they're happy with it.
So, but it's all based on the fact that it's a suffix because it wasn't certified as an infested fruit. So how does this smoothie make?
So the smoothie. So I presume we're talking about smoothies in a store
versus what?
Home? I don't know.
You tell me.
Okay, so
tell me. You tell me the problems.
So in the stores, a lot of times, in order to be more efficient, save time, they'll offer you. We're going to put orange juice in for this. Instead of sitting and beating up oranges we have orange juice ready made and we'll put it in.
Yeah. That's better or worse?
That's much worse.
Why?
Because most of the larger chains that do smoothies get their orange juice pasteurized at dairies. So it's not a part of orange juice, it's dairy equipment.
So let's stop for a second.
And it's pasteurized on the milk line.
So let me deviate for a second. If somebody wants to buy orange juice,
right,
he must have hechsher?
Oh, for sure.
And how about a freshly squeezed oranges?
It freshly squeezed in front of you, so you see what the story
No,
is.
those a lot of stores sell. They claim they just you don't see them squeezing it.
Yeah, they don't squeeze it in the store. I mean, maybe the smaller stores, not your Kroger's and Pathmark and.
So that's where they.
That's done at a factory, and then it goes out to be.
But it's done in
either
the same.
hot or cold pasteurized.
Oh really? Whoa,
Right.
whoa.
Because they don't want to kill you.
Yeah. Oh wow. So now that changes everything. So, freshly squeezed. If there's a chain store that's selling it, even though it looked like it just came out of the fruit, it didn't just come out of the fruit.
It didn't just come out of the fruit.
How long is it sitting on the shelf now?
So the pasteurized ones can sit. Some can go a week. Some can go 30, 60
Wow.
days.
So it's because it's because how it's pasteurized.
Right.
It's not because there could be some grapes or something. No. It's because it used the same kalim as.
So if it's hot pasteurized, then yeah, you got lots of kalim issues. If it's high pressure pasteurized, that's normally like the name of it. It goes into the bottle. It's put it under high pressure, under water.
Yeah.
And so the
So
bugs that are in there will get destroyed.
The what was in there?
Any pathogen, any bugs that are in there.
Yeah.
Not creepy crawly bugs, the other ones.
Yeah.
They just explode.
So where's the
you
halachic issue?
So that would be okay, but you should know you have to know what it is, what you're dealing with.
What do you mean? If what could go wrong with this freshly squeezed oranges bottle that they're selling? They would have pasteurized it in a way that what?
So if it's cold pasteurized, it would be okay. But how do you know?
And if it's hot pasteurized,
Then you have kalim concerns all over the place.
what like what?
So are the kalim used for treif, or grape juice?
The same pasteurizer.
Same pasteurizer. Is it used for dairy? And if they clean it, was it necessarily a koshering or not a koshering?
What is your experience have shown? If you don't show up if you don't certify a place, what have it?
Oh, then they can obviously do whatever they want. And
What did they do? What do they do?
Grape's really popular.
So in the same place they made orange juice,
Right.
They would have done the grape juice
Definitely,
also.
right?
And all hot.
Hot, 185 and hot.
For sure, you had to let this. For sure. So it causes a problem.
Right.
So that's for the juice. So you're saying that the whole smoothie issue is really. If I'm understanding this correct, it's two parts. The frozen fruit that you're using. Who says it's not infested?
Are you bugs or not bugs? Right.
And even if not, if you're going to a commercial place, maybe they're filling in some juice in there, and their juice that they're using is not 100%.
Right. No, the juices are normally in the retail stores where they want to make the smoothie in front of you.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of them have orange juice or apple juice.
Instead of crushing.
Instead of making it there because it's high volume items, and it's a time.
And
issue.
how about the blender themselves that they're using now? You see anything with that?
Usually not. Most of the places don't. I don't know about most. I haven't seen where they're throwing lots of dairy into these. But if they're doing dairy, then that's another whole category. How well is it cleaned? Where is it cleaned? How do they clean? And then a couple of these smoothie bars, they want to do you a favor and put different the powders and vitamins and proteins and this and that, and all those would need to have hashgacha.
Okay, so now let me go. Let's get to bottom line. A lot of places, especially in events, somebody pulls up and he's like you said. I just thought about, you said a smoothie bar. The guy's selling. He's making smoothies for you. He's making slush for you. He's making on a cartwheel.
On a cart, yeah.
No, what? Yeah, no.
So you said the guy has no hashgacha. He was just hired for an event, or you went to a non-kosher event and say, what can you?
Or no, you're on the street. If you see somebody doing it, you sell doing
like the fruit vendors on the street.
Yeah, right.
So the fruit vendors on the street where they cut up fruit for you, Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to buy it. That you don't have to presume that you're the lo yutzlach that got the first slice of fruit after he cut his sandwich.
Right.
Okay.
It's a little complicated, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of these other ones were like the slushies. So it's crushed ice, not a problem, and you're putting a flavored syrup on it. That's a big disaster zone.
The flavored syrup.
Right.
What's the problem there?
Because anytime you have a flavor, it needs reliable hashgacha. When you have these trucks that go around, and they say, "Oh, I have this certified flavors," the trucks themselves aren't certified. They're buying if they're buying where they're supposed to buy from the company, so it comes with hashgacha.
Uh-huh.
he runs out.
It's like a store selling some kosher items, some non-kosher
Right.
items. It's your choice.
Right. So the guy with the truck ran out of blueberry. You know what the blueberry is supposed to taste like. Out of his 40 flavors? No. He can go and get something else, stick it in the bottle, and okay, now I have blueberry now. It's just a free-for-all. I don't think it's a brilliant idea.
So we covered soda, we covered slush, we covered Slurpees. What else is there for this time? What else? Ice creams?
Ice cream. So ice creams it's usually just a kalim issue. So, I mean, your average kosher consumer is not buying ice cream without good hashgach on it. Because stabilizers could be wrong, flavorings could be wrong, other things added in. But there's a remarkable lack of understanding that if something is marked, DE, dairy equipment.
I thought they cut that out. They still do DE? I thought that's either DE or they still...
No.
Yeah.
People still have DE. So if you're makbid on Chol Yisrael, you let me rephrase that. Chabad view is that if you're makbid on Chol Yisrael, we just don't do it. Other Hasidim take different views.
Right.
But I presume most of the people listening to your videos are...
No, it's all...
No? Okay.
Everybody.
Everyone listens.
Klal Yisrael.
Oh, you're great.
Yeah. No.
Those that are makbid on Kelim, then the DE never works. Because if it's DE from Chol Hastam, which is the norm.
What do you mean it never works?
It never works out right because you have to kasher those kelim. If you hold that regular milk is usher.
Right. So tell us what happens when it says DE. What does that mean?
DE means
you're looking at a vanilla ice cream right now. It says DE.
Means the equipment was cleaned
before they made this ice cream.
Before they made this, and not kasher to parav.
That's what it means.
Right. Hot, and it's hot process.
And why would they not do that?
Because it's annoying. And the different, depending on the setup of the plant, it's not just necessarily the pipes that carry the ice cream to go through the pasteurizer. You have to deal with the steam that's heating everything throughout the plant. And that gets complicated as to what you can and can't do and what they want to do and don't want to do. And the kashering temperature at some places is very difficult on some of the equipment, on the rubber rings and things that hold pipes together.
So now we covered ice cream. Anything else about ice cream? How about ice cream cones? Ice cream...
So cones, it's usually a question of, is it pasta roll or not? Some say it does have to be, some say it doesn't have to be. It's like...
Right, the cones have no other shadows, right? There's no dairy in there? Right?
No, there are a number of cones that are dairy.
Really? Dairy or dairy equipment?
Both. Some of the major manufacturers decided it's going to be fun to put milk powder into the cones.
Is that could that obviously there are people that are very allergic to milk.
Yes.
And could you rely on whatever satisfies the allergy department? If they say it's non-dairy for the allergy, is it non-dairy for us? I mean, is it?
No, not always. I mean,
because some people are very, very, very...
Right. Bittul is an issue of 1 in 60.
Right.
Allergens are problems in parts per million. So you would think if they got it right, you'd be okay.
Right. There are people who are very allergic to the smallest amount.
Right.
Even after it's buckle b'shishim.
Right.
Right. Anything else? Before everybody runs to the ice cream and how about pizza?
Pizza?
I'll tell you why, because there's I know in OU they have the list of what's the 6-hour cheese, what's the not 6-hour cheese. But lately there are a lot of people discussing that even certain cheeses, if it melts on a pizza, it loses its 6-hour standard. You heard about that? Did you hear about that? What's the you want to share with the OU policy?
OU policy goes on how the cheese is made.
Right.
And
how, or the aged, or if it's aged.
That's part of the making process. So there's.
Do you go to cheese plants?
Yes.
So
there's discussion when it comes to cheddar cheese that, officially OU policy, I think, is that cheddar cheese is not a 6-hour cheese. But the cheesemakers, a lot of them are saying that's, we'll age it 3 months or less, whatever. But when it sits in the package longer, that is a discernible taste difference after when it passes the 6-month mark. If so, then that's problematic.
Okay, so the bottom line we see is before you run to the store, you have to check up what's allowed, what's not allowed, and You know that I once read a story. I think it was about the Malbim or the Alshich. That he was appointed a Rav in the city, and in the first opening speech that he gave to the community, he said, really, to the Kohanim, they would give matnas kahuna. So what would be the matnas kahuna? They'll give the zroya and the lechayayim, the cheekbone,
Right.
and the zroya, the whatever the what's it called, the zroya of the animal, the foot, the leg of the animal. He says, I also want my matnas kahuna, but I don't want the cheekbone and I want the arm. Everybody in my community should put on tefillin, and the cheekbone. I want everybody in my community to make sure they eat kosher. That's what I'm asking for the matnas kahuna. So I think you also want this matnas kahuna.
Sure.
Tell me, when you're sitting at this side of the on your side of the desk,
Right.
and you're doing this what for 30 years? How many years?
Over 30 years.
Oh, 40 years already?
No.
Over 30 years. Did you believe when you started what you're gonna? Did you ever imagine?
No.
Tell us one shocking story. Not you don't have to say a detail. Something that blew your mind. That this is you never thought this could ever happen.
A shocking story. It's not shocking. I mean,
No, that things get the ingredients are not kosher. We know.
right.
But
We're
what's
not
up?
kosher, people do stupid things.
Right.
We know. There's a discussion in your day that when it talks about making wine,
Right.
and it says, so what happens if someone not Jewish sticks their hand into the wine?
Right. It makes it move.
It makes it move, and but literally it's touching the wine.
Yeah.
It's like,
Why would they stick their hand in the
why would you stick your hand in the wine? And nowadays,
Everything's a machine, right?
it's machine, it's healthy. It's like you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
That's
right?
what you would think, right?
Yeah. So we're transferring grape juice from one tank to another. It was Movoshel grape juice, and they put in a three-way valve. So you have the line coming out of the tank going to the next tank, and there's a valve where you can direct it to the ground or to the other tank. So they're near the bottom, but they don't want to waste the 50 plus gallons that's in the hose between the two tanks. So they put water in the tank.
To strip it out.
Yeah, to strip it out. First in, first out.
Yeah.
He opens the valve and he starts tasting like this as it's coming to the drain to know,
it's
how
full.
much.
Yeah.
And because it gets watery, then he has to open the valve all the way.
And then he's going like this and pouring back.
No, it's not going back into the tank.
Yeah.
But he's sticking his hand into the moving stream of grape juice. This part's coming out, but it's all connected. Like you just saw the page, illuminate in front of your eyes. Like
Yeah. In other words, everything that you learn in Shulchan Aruch is not anymore what ifs. It actually happened.
just when, right?
Okay, Rabbi Nathanson, it was a pleasure.
Good
I hope good vach. I hope as much as I learned, all the people listening will hear even more. And the Eibishter promises us we do our little bit. The Eibishter says, you do the little bit, and I will give you the what we're waiting for, the Beis Hamikdash, and let it be b'mheira v'yameinu.
Amen.